Hey guys, Nikhil here from Home Banao. This is a detailed video review of the TAPO C200 security camera. We'll be taking you through the basics of how to use the software, what we've experienced using this particular camera, what it costs, how it compares with the competitor, and should you invest your hard-earned money on this. Let's get started. First things first, I have about 5 of these cameras. You can look at one of them here. I have 2 in my home, I have 2 in our studio right here, and I also have one to monitor my baby, but I'm not using it. We decided not to put it for other reasons which we'll discuss a little bit later in the video. When you go out there to buy a lot of these CCTV cameras, you'll come across lots of different brands. One of the reasons I went ahead with this was I had purchased Xiaomi before and I was not very happy with the build quality and the overall software experience. I felt that it was lacking somewhere and I wanted something more from my security cameras, and I'll tell you what those features are. So this has a 2 megapixel camera. It has full pan tilt, no zoom, just pan and tilt, 1080p full HD video recording. Okay, support for SD card up to 512 GB. I have tested up to 256 GB without any issues. Has motion detection built in, has baby crying alert notification built in. It also has a IR sensor which will help you for nighttime recording. So these are some basic features. This is not an unboxing video, it's a review, but you can look at the features, read it up on the spec sheet. We'll put it up right here. So let's get started with the product, with the build quality, what comes in the box. First things first, in the box you'll get a simple adapter. It's plugged in right here, and below you'll have this bracket which you get. Now this bracket, if you want to wall mount it, you can use this bracket. If you want to use the camera as it is, you can keep it on a high platform in a room, or right now we're in the studio, you can keep it here. So I'll just give you a perspective. I'm sharing my screen on my phone right here. This is something which has been connected, and you can see the screen recording, it'll be visible. So if I click on the studio view, right, you can see this entire view which is visible. The camera is here on the top left corner, and I'll just maximize this view so that you get a better idea of what you're seeing, right? And this gives you some perspective of where you can mount it. I'll show you the view of this camera as well. So this was actually our living room camera, and I mean right now, say hi. Hi. So our camera guy is right here, and you can see this view. The camera right here is pointing straight to the camera. So this gives you some perspective. But coming back to it, apart from that, you also get these screws and some screw holders which you can drill into a wall and fix it. It's quite sturdy. Let's take this review step by step, starting with the build quality. First things first, you will notice that the plastic around this camera is a quite high quality plastic, I feel, including the bottom side, which is what will fix into a wall. The camera has a pretty good range of motion and moves quite smoothly, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'll just go into the camera setting here, and I'll just do a quick vertical pan and horizontal pan so you get an idea. So it moves quite comfortably, quite easily without any issues, and you can see it go around our studio, right? This is the horizontal patrol. That's the mode I have put it in, wherein it will do a left to right horizontally. And I'll just stop it. And now let me show you the vertical patrol. So that's your up to down. So you have a quite large range of motion if you think about it. There is a camera from the same brand available for 200 rupees lesser, but that is a fixed camera. It has a single view, does not have a pan and tilt. So the pan and tilt feature I feel is quite useful, and if you position the camera correctly, you can get visibility of an entire hall, you can get visibility of a perimeter, you can get visibility of your entire home with just one position being placed. So keep that in mind. So because of that, because it's quite robust, it doesn't feel like it'll break, it doesn't feel like, it'll vibrate. It's very well built, it's well put together. The plastic quality is quite nice. I do have a complaint about the adapter which is given in the box. I feel like it's a very cheap adapter, I'll be very honest with you. However, because it's an adapter, if it does break, right, replacing it will not be hard. It uses a standard 9-volt adapter, so you should be able to find replacements quite easily. Your modems will be using it, some cordless phones will be using it. You'll just find it on Amazon if you want an extra adapter. Although I have used this camera for 3 years plus, the previous model and this generation model for a year plus, and I've not faced any issues as such, but it just feels the wire is a bit flimsy. So let's move to the next part. How do you mount it? What are the options there? How easy it is to mount? So first things first is, if you're just placing it on a high surface, just place it on a high surface. You can leave it and you can use it. It'll behave like a typical webcam on a desktop, right? You should not face any issues. However, if you're trying to mount it on the wall, there's few things to keep in mind. First is, if you're mounting on the wall, you'll have to have an impact drill to drill through concrete. If you're mounting it on a wooden surface, then you can drill it through a simple small drill. But if it's to the wall, you'll have to have an impact drill. So you may have to book an urban company if you're in a urban area, or if you're in a tier 2, tier 3 city, call a local carpenter who will have an impact drill which will push through into the wall, and then you can fix this. The issue which I faced, and this is when I was trying to mount it in my home, not here, was once you fix this particular thing onto a wall, mounting this is a lock mechanism, and there's some grooves inside. There's some grooves inside here. Pushing it and then rotating this camera is quite challenging. One of the reasons is the base plate and the below motor, which provides the tilt functionality. I mean, do you see the amount of effort I had to put? So sitting on the desk, putting that effort to lock it is easy. But imagine it's on the roof, right? You're literally trying to lock it on the roof and it's rotating, it's not locking. It was quite frustrating for the installer who came in to actually fix it. And once it's installed, by the way, unlatching it is quite hard. So I literally needed a screwdriver. Now I'm not able to do it with my hand. But when I tried to unlatch it for this video, I literally needed a screwdriver to remove it, and it was quite frustrating if you ask me. So just keep this in mind, that during the installation process, the mounting of the bracket is good, the screw quality is good, the pegs are also good. However, you fixing the camera onto the bracket is quite hard. It requires a lot of effort. You'll have to push it, rotate it. So this base rotates on its own. So you are not able to get a good grip to mount it, and it creates a very frustrating experience if you ask me. So keep this in mind if you're looking to buy. But if you manage to get it mounted, you will face absolutely no issues, because let's get to the next part, which is the app experience. One of the reasons I personally, the previous camera I'd used, which was a Xiaomi camera, I think, which I think nowadays is very difficult to find, was I didn't feel that the mobile app experience was great. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at some of the features which I personally liked and some places where they can improve. So let's get to the studio view. So as you can see, this is the studio view. Here, very quickly, if I want to talk, right, I just press the talk button. It takes a second to connect. And just like how we record a WhatsApp voice note, I press and hold. Hello, hello. You must have picked up some background noise, right? So you can very easily start talking like that. So that's pretty cool. In the app view, one is, if you have multiple cameras, you can very easily connect it. And by the way, the connection process is pretty straightforward. All you have to take care of is make sure you have good Wi-Fi. If you have good Wi-Fi, you will not face any issues whatsoever. If you have bad Wi-Fi or your modem is far away, you will have to figure out an alternative, because this camera does not function without good Wi-Fi. In fact, in one of my father's storehouses, what we had done was we bought a Wi-Fi hotspot from Jio, placed it right next to the camera to make sure it has good connection. We just refill the normal data pack in that hotspot, and we have 24/7 remote monitoring available to us. But anyway, back to this. So if I go to this particular camera, is the living room camera. I've bought it right now at the desk. I'll just take you through some of the features. One is, if you want to take a quick photo, you press on this camera button and it saves a photo. This particular camera has been set up for continuous recording. So if I press the playback and download, you can just see all the recordings which we have, right? It was set up in the living room, and it's showing the recording here. And you can cut specific portions and save it. It had detected a particular person had come in there. You could see a small person. And then when you download it, it just downloads into this app. And then from there you can hit download and it will go to your photo library. Coming back, that's your playback and download. That's a very quick way of accessing footage and maybe sharing it with someone. Another thing is, because it's an SD card, it has continuous recording, and the way that works is, if it has 256 GB, probably for a week or 12 days or so, it should record continuously, and then the newer recording will delete the older footage. So as you keep recording, the older footage keeps getting deleted. So you will have a history of about 256 GB SD card placed in. So just keep that in mind. Continuing, this will do an immediate recording and you can stop it. You can turn on continuous recording if you want. So it will keep recording irrespective of motion detection or not. You can turn on the camera microphone, and when you press this button, it will play the sound which the camera mic is capturing. Do keep this in mind, the camera mic and the camera speaker is of a very, very low quality. I personally only use it if you have to use it just for emergencies. You can't really understand what it's capturing. It can just capture some basic information. What I do want to talk about is another feature under the pan and tilt where you can set up specific scenes. So what do I mean by that? So if you see here below, I have set up two scenes. One is this view 1, and the camera automatically moved. And if I select view 2, and it rotated, towards something. Again, let's go back to view 1, it'll rotate there. So what this is a preset positions for specific monitoring. So I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. And I'll show you how to set it up. It's so simple. You move to a specific setting. So let me rotate the camera to my face. Let me tilt it so it panned, and now so you can see my face, and I press on plus button, and then I'll just save it as Nikhil face, right? I mean, of course you'll have much better presets. And now if I go to view 1, it rotates to what I had set, to our camera guy. But if I select Nikhil face, it immediately does a preset to me. So it does automatic pan and tilt. It's quite quick. So I find this feature quite useful, and this helps when you have a single camera placed in the middle of a hall where you want to monitor the dining room and the hall, or outside you want to put it in your parking space. You want a single camera to check the gate and your vehicles, right? You can monitor it very easily like that. So let's go back. Let me show you some other settings. So on the top right, when I click on settings, one is you can turn on the motion detection. The motion detection and motion tracking is pretty decent. Whenever someone comes on frame and someone's moving, it'll give you a notification. And if you want to use this camera as a baby monitoring device, you can turn on baby crying detection. It'll give you a notification in the app that your baby is crying. Please go have a look at it. You can also turn on the alarm mode. So if you keep the camera alarm on, that's when you can hear this, right? So I'll just turn it off. You can keep this on. Apart from this, if you want, you can have continuous online storage as well. So these are some of the settings. And I think the plan cost is 300 rupees per device. So if you are someone who is working in a sensitive area, you want continuous recording and you want an online backup, do turn on the TAPO Care. Keep in mind, you'll have to have an internet connection which is going to upload so much data. So it will count against your data, and you'll make sure you have an unlimited upload plan in your Wi-Fi. Let's go to storage and recording settings. You can record a high quality storage. Loop recording is what I just spoke to you about, which is it keeps recording and it keeps deleting the older footage as it keeps recording. You can set up a recording schedule, right, wherein there's either detection recording or there's continuous recording. Continuous recording is always recording whatever is going on. Detection recording is only when it detects some motion, it's going to record something. And going forward, you can select your video quality. So you have 720p and 1080p. 720p is generally enough if you ask me for a CCTV recording. Look, you're not going to buy this for high quality recording unless you're using it for some other reasons. You should be buying this for simple security recording, and assume similar to your laptop webcam, that's the only quality resolution you're going to get on this. It's not a very great recording experience. It's decent. So you're paying 1900 rupees for it, guys. What else? Network connection is an important part. I spoke to you guys about this, and I wanted to notice something. Look here. This particular portion on the screen. This is where it shows you how reliable your network connection is. So make sure that this device, it doesn't record to a DVR, it records to an SD card, and it relays directly through internet to your phone. So for this, you'll have to have very good internet connection and have good upload bandwidth. So get a data plan which has good upload bandwidth. If not, this device becomes useless. And then finally, I wanted to show you some of the notifications. So activity notifications is for motion detection, for baby crying, etc. Or for even a person detection, you can configure some people. And rich notification is for a more detailed notification. It will actually take a photo of a person and I'll send it to you, it will take a photo of an activity which is detected and it will send it to you. Most of these features work reasonably well. I have not faced issues as such. And then finally, of course, if you want to update your firmware, you can do it quite easily and it updates well. So this was a quick rundown of the features. From a software perspective, I thought the experience was quite good. I've not faced much issues with the software. I will mention though, when your Wi-Fi is unreliable, connecting to the camera for the first time is very hard. So I'm coming back to the main issue with the camera, which is it requires very good Wi-Fi connection if it does not function well as a camera. Second, you require specific SD cards. Not every SD card will work. That's because this is doing a continuous recording. So I'll link some SD cards which I would suggest for a CCTV camera in the description below. You can check them out. But these cards should support continuous recording 24/7 to make sure that the SD card doesn't get corrupted. And then the mounting, I told in the beginning itself, it's a major con in my opinion. I felt that the mounting system could have been done better. It's quite challenging to mount it. And then last but not the least, I felt the plans are a bit expensive for online recording. 300 rupees is a bit pricey per month. I wished it was somewhere around 100 rupees per device so that I would actually opt for it. 300 rupees per device and in 5 months you're paying the cost of the device itself. Didn't make sense to me. Although it's not mandatory to have online recording, but it can be a great backup for some specific use cases, and I think it could have been priced better because online storage cost has been going down every year. Other than that, for 1900 rupees, it's a great overall camera. I would not suggest going for the lower version of this, which does not have pan tilt capability. So the pan tilt capability of this camera makes it quite nice. Just for 200 rupees more, that one feature will make it a lot more flexible as a security camera. In fact, I would say that if you position it correctly, you can monitor a very large space, which a fixed camera you may not be able to monitor. And finally, the major con is I felt that the adapter quality is a bit flimsy, although it has not broken on me for quite some time, because generally this is not a thing you keep unplugging and plugging, you just plug it and leave it. But still, I think the adapter quality could have been better. Overall, guys, it's a pretty good security camera. If you're in the market out there, you want something, you want to do it yourself, you don't want to call a CCTV company and set up a DVR and all that. Just want a simple camera for monitoring at home, maybe your gate, maybe your office, maybe a small warehouse. Please go for this. And the app experience, the installation experience, the SD card, fixing up an SD card, keeping it simple. I really liked all of this. I like the implementation. I like the experience which the software has. That's one of the reasons why I have 5 of these. 2 in my office, 2 at my home, and 1 for baby monitoring. Now the last part is why I didn't put the baby monitoring thing. I felt that from a privacy perspective, I didn't want my baby's footage to go anywhere. In the end of the day, a lot of these softwares are backed by Chinese chips. So I don't know what Chinese are going to do with the data. Although the office and the living room they're capturing all of it, but I didn't want my baby's footage to come there. So that's just maybe a conspiracy theory thought process of mine. But other than that, pretty good camera. You can consider it. You'll not be disappointed with the experience. And if you do face issues, TP-Link has a pretty decent service reputation. So if you get in touch with them, they will respond relatively quickly. TP-Link is the company which markets TAPO, these cameras. And TP-Link has a pretty good reputation with modems, and they have a pretty widespread service network. So you should not face issues, in my opinion. So if you have any questions about the camera, let me know in the comment section below. And they have an upgraded version of this called C210, which is a 2K camera, not a 1080p camera. I don't think you need it unless and until you have some specific reasons for using this. For instance, I know of some businesses who have to monitor their return packages which they get in e-commerce sales, and they have to have proof when they're opening. In those cases, higher fidelity will help. But for a normal use of a small home, small office, a warehouse or a gate, this should be more than enough. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comment section below if there's any other product you want us to check out. And this is Nikhil from Home Banao signing off.